Hi class, let's continue to graph your equations, linear equations. We already spoke about how to graph a linear equation using a table of values. Now let's move on to the second way to graph linear equations, which is the slope-intercept form of an equation. So to graph the equation using the slope-intercept form, we first have to make sure the equation is already solved for y. If it's not, we're going to have to rewrite it. And the number that is in front of the x is considered your slope, and the number that's in by itself is considered your y-intercept, and we leave that as a point. So let's graph the y-intercept and use the slope to find another point on the graph. So for y equals to 3x plus 2, to graph this line, let's first identify what's the slope. The slope is the number in front of the x, so that slope is 3, or more specifically 3 over 1, it's positive. And the y-intercept is at the y-coordinate and include the sign positive 2, so that's 0, comma negative 2. So that's on the y-axis. So let's first start by labeling our x and y axis. Then we go to the point 0, comma 2, and that's graphed first. Then use the slope. The slope was positive 3 over 1, so we're going to move up 3 units, and we're going to move to the right 1 unit. So we're going to move up 3 units and to the right 1 unit, leaving you at the new coordinate of 1, comma 5. So when you plot those 2 points, the y-intercept, and then use the slope to find another point, connect them with the straight line, and there you have the graph of this same equation using the slope-intercept form. So let's try an example number 3 down here in your notes. Example number 3 says graph this equation using the slope-intercept form of a linear equation. So find the slope first. What is the slope? That's the number in front of the x. So this case m is 2, and I'm going to write it in fraction form, 2 over 1. What's the y-intercept? Include the sign. That's 3 is the b value. So the coordinate would be 0, comma 3. So this is my y-intercept. This is my slope. Now let's graph it. So how do we graph? Make sure we start by labeling the y-axis, label the x-axis. Start from the origin, and let's graph the y-intercept. So we go to 0, comma 3, 1, 2, 3. We label that point as 0, comma 3. We label that y-intercept. Then we use the slope. The slope is positive 2, positive 1. So we move up 2 units, and we move to the right 1 unit. So we go up 2 units from here, 1, 2, and over to the right 1. So we end up at this new coordinate. So what would be the coordinates of that? That's correct, 1, comma 5. And we connect that with the straight line, and that would be the graph of the equation y equals to 2x plus 3. Okay, so try the example number 4, as your instructor might ask you to upload that onto Blackboard, and move on to the next video that shows you the third way to graph a linear